The book is a series of rants, confessions, investigations, and interrogations. Hello everyone, welcome to Read the Right Thing Book Reviews. I'm Eric, thanks so much for watching. Anthony Bourdain was a popular American chef, author, and travel documentarian. He wrote books and starred in several shows about travel and food before he sadly ended his life in 2018. And I've been watching those shows ever since, and I've seen clips online, and I've always wanted to read his books. A Barnes & Noble by my house was going out of business, so they were having this massive sale where I found his book Medium Raw. It would have made sense to read his first book, Kitchen Confidential, before reading this. However, I still enjoyed this book, but I think I missed out on seeing the evolution of Bourdain's feelings toward the food industry. So now I guess I'll have to see that evolution backwards when I eventually read Kitchen Confidential. Medium Raw is his second book and shows us a new Bourdain. He went from outcast cook with a best-selling book to famous traveler and TV star and eater. A lot had changed in the food world and in Bourdain's own life. Medium Raw is an exploration of those changes. It's also an attack on all the people or things that annoy him. The book is a series of rants, confessions, investigations, and interrogations. He comments on some of the biggest names in the culinary world, including David Chang, Alice Waters, Rachel Ray, and many more. He tears down some and shows others the reverence and appreciation usually reserved for saints or rock stars. The book starts with Bourdain partaking in a clandestine meeting of the top dogs in the culinary world to sit down for a forbidden meal of ortolan. Ortolan is a French songbird that is roasted whole, and you eat it while putting a napkin over your head. There are rumors on why you put this napkin over your head. Some say it's to hide the shame from God, and others say the bird is so delicious, it's to cover up your face of ecstasy. Maybe you've seen this portrayed on TV shows, usually eaten by the richest people in the world. Bourdain says it's like a scene right out of The Godfather. The descriptions of the history of the bird and the meal itself were incredibly entertaining. For me, there were two essays that really stood out. There was an essay on David Chang and an essay on Justo Thomas, a Dominican fish butcher in New York City. The first essay about David Chang shows a successful, world-famous chef who is still utterly miserable. Chang's craft and genius and his work drive him crazy and are horrible for his health, yet he can't stop working. The essay is an interesting look at David Chang, who was at the top of his game, but he was still generally miserable. Here's the beginning from that essay. It's called The Fury, and it starts with a quote from Ralph Waldo Emerson. "Build, therefore, your own world. What took me to cooking was that there was something honest about it," says David Chang. "There is no lying in a kitchen, and no God there either. He couldn't help you anyway. You either can or can't make an omelet. You either can or can't chop an onion, shake a pan, keep up with the other cooks, replicate again and again perfectly the dishes that need to be done. No credential, no amount of bullshit, no well-formed sentences or pleas for mercy will change the basic facts. The kitchen is the last meritocracy, a world of absolutes. One knows without any ambiguity at the end of each day how one did. Good and evil are easily and instantly recognized for what they are. Good is a cook who shows up on time and does what he said yesterday he was going to do. Evil is a cook who's full of shit and doesn't or can't do what he said he was going to do. Good is a busy restaurant from which the customers go home happy and everybody makes money. Evil is a slow restaurant from which the cooks go home feeling depressed and ashamed. Nobody wonders in a busy kitchen if there is a God, or if they've chosen the right God, except maybe David Chang. I run on hate and anger, says David Chang. It's fueled me for the longest fucking time. The other is an essay about Justo Thomas, who is a fish butcher at the restaurant, I think it's pronounced Le Bernardin. And this is an accounting of a day in the life of a man who cuts up to 700 pounds of fish every morning. It's a minute-by-minute, detailed journey of craft and precision. The restaurant at the time was the best seafood restaurant in America, and no doubt Justo Thomas played a massive role in their success. It's a really cool story about a job that most restaurant patrons would never think about. And Bourdain also highlights the irony that in most fine dining establishments, the very people who cook the food usually cannot or are not allowed to eat there. It was pleasing to read about how Bourdain and Thomas enjoyed a meal together, eating the very fish that Thomas had prepared for so long. And unlike David Chang, Thomas seemed happy and content with his job. He had a purpose, and he seemed fulfilled. There are a few other really good essays in this book, but those two were just my favorite. Bourdain has opinions on everything and everyone. He's not afraid to eviscerate beloved people in the food world. If it weren't for his humor and colorful prose, the negativity would be a real drag to read. Bourdain is aware he sounds like a spoiled brat with all his negative experiences at restaurants where most people would kill to eat at just once. But I love the honesty, and sometimes you just want the meatloaf. Bourdain is always aware of his own hypocrisy and maybe even his whininess. After all, he'll criticize the very thing that he had a hand in creating. If you like Anthony Bourdain, I assume you would really like this book. I haven't read Kitchen Confidential yet, like I said. I have heard that's the better of the two, but it's still a very fun, entertaining read. It's also informative and gets you thinking about food and food culture in America and how we can make that better and where we're going. And if you're already in tune with this food culture and know most of the people he is talking about, you'll probably like this book even more. I didn't know everyone he was talking about, and I didn't really care enough to stop and research. I just know that I really enjoyed reading Bourdain's essays. It's a fun way to experience an angry, snarky, sarcastic man confronting changes in his life and the community he works in. So Medium Raw was definitely the right thing for me. I really need to read Kitchen Confidential now, and I'll keep enjoying his TV shows. So that was my review of Medium Raw by Anthony Bourdain. If you've read this book, let me know what you thought about it in the comments. I'm sure I missed something, so let me know what you thought. If you found this video helpful, please hit that like button and consider subscribing as I drop book reviews throughout the year. If you know someone who would enjoy this video, please send it along to them. Once again, thanks for tuning in, and as always, read the right thing.